Guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today, I want to talk this one. Actually, these two. I want to talk Edward and Wallis. I'm sorry, I meant Harry and Meghan. You guys, I love Jan Moir so much. And Jan has written this article that really lays into Harold and Fraud, Harry and Meghan, Edward and Wallis. And I want to talk about it with you. So let's take a look and see what's being said. All right, so this is by Jan Moir, courtesy of the Daily Mail. Edward was a typical Windsor male, whiny and petulant. Remind you of anyone? Okay, so a lost memoir of Edward VIII has come to light, and for the first time, we hear the authentic inner voice of the man who had briefly been king. And what does that voice sound like? Whiny, romantic, wild, egotistic, a top note of royal petulance, underpinned with a faint grasp of reality. Exactly. A typical Windsor male, in other words. All right. I was a bachelor, alone, tired, he moaned. It sounds like the opening line of a Johnny Cash song, but as he described how he felt before he met Wallis, I'm just laughing and thinking about that idiot that... Oh, God, I'm thinking about the wife and her cosplaying of Wallis. You know, instead of developing an actual personality or anything like that, she just has to glom onto other people's. And by the way, maybe do your homework on who you're cosplaying as, because, they are known to be sympathizers of a certain disgusting, hateful group that your husband decided to dress like one Halloween. Oh, yeah, remember he tried to blame William and Catherine for that. So the article continues, to live without love would have been intolerable, he said, after he had fallen for Wallis. Okay, so his dad, King George V, passed away. So he ended up telling his advisor, Walter, his plans that are shocking to this day because naive, that's a nice way of describing it, naive Edward really did think he could become king and have the twice divorced, plucked and powdered Wallis by his side as queen. I refuse to become a prisoner of the past. I must have a private life of my own, he wailed. Okay, so they go into, I just love Jan Moir. She says, reading the truth about Edward and Wallis, I'm afraid I'm not filled with syrupy admiration for his romantic sacrifice and subsequent elopement, but more struck by his selfishness and utter dereliction of duty. Edward kicked everyone in his family to the curb so that he and Wallis could live an aimless and empty life in exile, coddled by luxury, but not much else. Does that sound familiar to any of you guys? Because it sure as shit does to me. Ditto, Prince Harry with another American divorcee, nearly a century later. Yet the Windsor men indulge themselves with their own wants and needs. It's noticeable that the Windsor women have always put duty first. Queen Elizabeth, of course, rock solid, on the throne for 70 years. No further explanation needed there. Love her. Princess Margaret was no saint, but when she had to give up the love of her life because he was divorced, she accepted her fate so as not to upset the monarchy. Princess Anne, love her too, is not going to come over all rom-com anytime soon. But whatever the right thing is to do, she has always done it. You can't say the same for her brothers, uncles, and occasionally wayward nephews. Indeed, when you think about it, you have to wonder how the Windsor dynasty has managed to stagger on for so long. Certainly, it's in spite of these selfish men rather than because of them. It was Edward VIII who sowed the petulant seed that grew the giant hogweed of entitlement. And down the years, his love story has echoed in the tortured relationship of others. Harry and Meghan. History repeats itself over and over, right down to Edward VIII moaning about the press while blaming everyone else for his feebleness and limitations. I cannot put a big enough point on this. Hello, Harry. That's exactly what he did, or what he does, sorry. That's exactly what he does. Moans about the press, blaming everybody else for everything. Again, just a minute ago, I was talking about that costume that he wore, and then he blames William and Catherine on it. It's absolutely ridiculous. He'll never change. He'll never grow up because he never takes responsibility for anything. He was blinded and entranced by a woman in kick pleats from the New World who he believed could rescue him from the misery of privilege and the burden of destiny. Sound familiar? Okay, listen to this description of Wallis Simpson and see if this sounds familiar. Ready? He is said to have written down her defining characteristics. She was demanding, strict, inflexible, exacting, chic, I don't think I'd use that to describe Meghan, must have the best, and is easily hurt. I'm sorry. Where's the part where she cries on the floor about everything? Ring any bells in Montecito? Any glimmer of recognition or acknowledgement of shared experience from his mini-me great-great-nephew? Thought not. Then the article goes on to talk about the book, but I just wanted to read you the highlights there, and I wanted to discuss these idiots did not research the people that they have modeled themselves after. Why bother to learn the truth of the situation, right? That they died absolutely miserable, it sounds like. They just thought, oh, he abdicated for the love of his life without actually researching that it went so terribly, it sounds like. And yet they burned every bridge and acted like a-holes. Again, sound familiar? But it's so like them/her to not do the actual research and just read, oh, the king abdicated for an American, ooh, love story, and not actually read what really happened and how it all went down. Oh, too funny. I love Jan Moir. I love how she described Meghan. Can I just read that part again? It's my favorite part of the article. Wallis Simpson's defining characteristics. Ready? Demanding, strict, inflexible, exacting, must have the best, and is easily hurt. Could you think of a better description, among other things, of Meghan there? That it's just too perfect. It's so well said. I love it. I truly think these two just make up their minds, do no actual research or homework, and think they're going to be the best at it. And it didn't work out well for the original couple, and it's not working out well for these two. But it sure is fun to watch. Thank you, Jan Moir, for a fantastic comparison. I really enjoyed that. Thank you all for being here and for watching. Hey, a huge thank you to everybody who's picked up the new merch. We've got Not Bloody Likely, which I love so much. A nod to Princess Anne, which I love. But thank you guys for that. And again, if you want to further support, definitely check out Patreon. Patreon.com/Real Housewives Recaps. Thanks for everything. You guys have the best day. Bye-bye.